As we can see, I've got the engine and gearbox out of the frame of this Trials Bullet now, and I've also got the engine and gearbox separated. And I noticed while I was bringing the gearbox back up here, I've got the engine on the workbench ready to dismantle, but I happened to notice that the shafts spin freely. There's no sign of any binding or locking up or whatever. And originally it had been suspected that the problem was in the engine. You could only turn it so far each way and it would come to a stop. But I've already discussed that. I explained, I saw the bottom and top runs of the primary chain going tight, and that made me, or led me to believe it was gearbox related. What it actually turned out to be was the back of the clutch centre. One of these three posts that the pressure plate spring bolts screw into, it's got a little bit of a burr on the back of it there sticking up, and also we can see marks on the heads of these little bolts that hold this seal assembly, and these are also loose. And the back of the clutch centre basically has been catching on these three here are slightly raised, obviously they're slightly raised, and it's obviously they've been interfering with each other, and that's where the sort of lockup has come from. So well, that's a big relief from a full gearbox rebuild or the gearbox locking up. However, I've also noticed as I spin the main shaft, camera might pick it up, there's a very slight throw or bend in that main shaft, so it might be a good idea to replace that anyway. It'd probably work like that, but the trouble is you get tight and slack spots in the primary chain, and that wouldn't be very good. So it's not a big job to change it, but it's another bit of time and money for the owner, so I'll have to talk to him. There's also play between the main shaft and the main shaft sleeve, so make a note of that as well. But I've got the engine all ready to come apart now, and at least it's nice to know that it wasn't the engine locking up and it wasn't the gearbox locking up, although the engine's got to be fully stripped anyway to access that big end that's got the play in it. So that's what I'll be doing next. We'll have the engine on the bench and split it and get the crank out, split that and see what we've got in the big end department.